Welcome back to the channel. This is Chris with Flores Media. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about my experience with buying and using the Sony A7 III right now we're in July 2021. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna let you guys know what my experiences have been so far with the camera, and I'm gonna recommend you guys if you should get it or if you shouldn't get it, right? So let's pull out our good old friend, the A7 III. I'm not gonna talk about specs. This camera has been around since 2018. I'm pretty sure some of y'all know more specs than I do. Why did I pick it up? I was in the process. I had the A6400. I was using it for my professional work, and some of y'all might roll your eyes or whatever, but if you know what you're doing with the camera, you can get it done, all right? So I had the A6400. I was gonna buy a second body, and I was actually looking to get the A6600. Called my local camera store, looked online. My camera store told me, hey, we don't have any used Sony APS-C cameras, but we do have this A7 III, and we'll throw in a 50mm 1.8, the nifty 50 if you get it. So I thought about it for a day and a half, and I really jumped on it. I was hesitating just because I had some other APS-C lenses that I knew I was going to be able to really use with this camera. I mean, you can if you really have to in crop mode, but then what's the point, right? So that's why I was hesitating, but then I decided let's go ahead and get it done. So I got the 50mm. Later on, I got this 85, which has been I love this lens, the 85 1.8 from Sony. Recently, I got the Sony 35 1.8. And right now I'm filming with the Sony A7C and the Sigma 24-70 2.8. So that's my two camera setup that I use for my professional work. But let's talk about the A7 III. Why do I like it? What I don't like, and if I still recommend it for you in 2021, all right? So one of the things I absolutely love with this camera, even compared to the A7C, is just how it feels in my hand. It's got a bigger grip, and the thumb wheel or the thumb rest in the back just feels a lot sturdier, a lot more comfortable to hold. When I put heavier lenses on this thing, like the Sigma, it's fine. It's balanced. I like the form factor of it. I like the heft to it, because it does have stabilization, right? But because it is a little bit heavier, it helps me to get more steady handheld shots. So that's what I like about the camera. Just the ergonomics of the camera are really good, right? I love the custom buttons. Obviously, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 custom buttons on this camera, and I have them mapped out to do different things. You got AF on, AEL, different buttons that you can do to map and use for different situations. So I love just having that flexibility on this camera. I love the dual card slots. I have it set up to where I have one of them shooting photo, the UHS-2 card. I have that one for photo, so I can capture bursts. And then slot 2, I have it for video, so that's how I shoot. And some people might be like, oh no, dude, like you need redundancy, or that's why I was hesitating to get the A7C, just because it didn't have a dual card slot. But in my experience, I've never had a card fail on my A6400, on my ZV-1, now on this A7 III. A card's never failed me, and I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that's gonna be very, very rare. And if it does, then I'll figure out what to do then, right? But I love the dual card slots just for that flexibility of, if I want redundancy, I got it. If I want one for photo, one for video, I got it, all right? And lastly, my favorite feature on the camera, like on the actual camera itself, is this joystick. I love using the joystick to just move the focus point wherever I need it to. I've gotten really, really accustomed to the joystick, and I absolutely love it, all right? So what I don't like, not necessarily for photo, but for video, I don't like the screen. Well, here's the thing, all right? So like right now I have the A7C, I've got the screen flipped out, and since I'm recording like this, it's cool, right? But when I'm behind the camera, it's kind of awkward to look at the screen off to the side a little bit. But I do that, in that case, I do prefer this screen. But when I'm out doing photography and I start trying to shoot portraits like this screen just becomes useless, right? Just because it doesn't tilt, it doesn't do anything, right? It just goes up or down, and that's about it. So once you start doing that kind of thing in portrait work, it does get a little annoying trying to figure out how to get down low, or, you know, drop to the floor and things like that. This might be controversial. The eyepiece being right here in the middle, is kind of, for me in my case, just because I got a big nose, I don't like it. I wish it was a little bit more rangefinder style off to the right so I can have my eye to it. And that's another thing I don't really like. Third thing I don't like about the camera, 30-minute record limit. That sucks. Very rarely do I need to go longer than that, but like in a ceremony, a wedding ceremony, it might go a little bit longer. If I'm recording like a church preaching or something like that, or just a long form interview, having that 30-minute record limit kind of sucks. All right. And lastly, the last thing I don't like about the camera, and it might just be a little bit nitpicky for some people, I don't like the tracking feature of this camera, right? So in most cases, you have to turn it on, then you have to press the center button to lock on focus. You get this box that like grows around your subject, but just like that, it loses tracking, right? So obviously this is an older camera. On newer Sony cameras, that's no longer a thing. Like you got touch tracking now, but on this camera you don't. So that is something that I miss, right? So some of the things that I've always heard about this camera that people have complained about, some things that when I was researching this camera, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna suck. But now I'm like, it's perfectly fine. Everyone has complained about these doors that hang. They have not been a bother to me at all. They have worked fine. I put this on a gimbal. If I need any kind of connections, either for power, for headphones, for an audio in, it's been fine. I have nothing to complain there. So in 2021, now having the A7C, having other cameras like the new, just all these new cameras that are out right now, would I still recommend the A7 III? So I'm gonna say yes, but it depends. If you're a hybrid shooter, yeah, definitely. Like this is a great hybrid camera because it does photo and video both very well. The sensor, full frame 24 megapixel sensor, does really, really good in low light. And it's just very comfortable. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. It's really good for handheld footage. Also, it fits on my Weebill S. It's a great setup. Even with the Sigma 24-70, it's a good setup on that gimbal. And I can shoot with that setup like almost all day and still be fine. If it's good in the hand. I got this bottom plate from URig, from UURig. I got this bottom plate just so that I can, like, my pinky doesn't disappear. I don't find it necessary to have cages on these cameras. Like just with this little accessory right here at the bottom, that's plenty. So that fixes what some people call an ergonomic issue, but this camera just fits perfectly in my hand. All right. So if you're a hybrid shooter, yes, go for it. If you're a photographer, yes, go for it. Yes, I did complain about the screen, but there are ways to get around it. You might have to just get down low to get your shot, but you can still get around it, right? So now if you're just a full-time videographer, or if you're a full-time, like, just a freelancer doing video work, if you're gonna be behind the camera, oh yeah, get this camera. But if you're gonna be in front of the camera, like for YouTube, for live streaming, or any kind of like maybe conference calls or anything like that, then that's when I kind of don't recommend the camera anymore, right? Because for that situation, I would recommend just getting the A7C because it has a flip out screen and it's right around the same price range. If you're buying used, obviously this is gonna be a lot cheaper used than the A7C, but you're in that ballpark if you're buying new, all right? But yes, I think the A7 III in 2021 is still an amazing buy, an amazing camera. I like the colors. Some people are gonna be like, ew, he's crazy. I like the colors. I get good colors out of it. I like the photos. They come out really sharp, very clean. And I just love the handling of this camera. It fits in my hand. It feels like a very good camera. Every time I pull it out and the client looks at it with that big old Sigma lens, they're just like, okay, dude, like, you know what you're doing. So I highly recommend this camera, right? Who should get this camera? I think everybody, except for just solo YouTubers and live streamers, all right? But other than that, videographers, photographers, hybrid shooters, if you're gonna be filming behind the camera, go for it. It's gonna be a great buy, all right? Hope you like this video. Leave me your thoughts, your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and you have a good one. I'll catch you in the next video, all right? Peace.